Welcome, welcome. I've got people still jumping on here. So welcome this morning. I'm excited about this. Just a little bit of a disclaimer before we jump into our topic for this morning. Let me just admit these people into the room. Hold on. As always, I love having you guys in the class. I love that you are inviting family and friends to come and participate with us every week. And my disclaimer is don't follow me. Don't believe a word that I say. These are discussions. These are sessions where we can kind of work together and hopefully edify each other. That's the whole point of getting together every Tuesday. And so if you have things that you feel impressed to share and contribute, awesome. And again, the disclaimer, don't take my word for anything. Go get your own truth. So these sessions are a wonderful opportunity for you to take what you hear, what we talk about, what comes up in these sessions, to take those and formulate really good questions that you can then take to God and get truth for yourself. Because that's not my job to disseminate. Looks like we've got some comments coming in already. Hi, Janet. I'm glad to be here today. Hello, I'm on time. Happy day. That's great. Yeah, it's good to have you guys jumping on. Thanks for being here. So, just a little bit of introduction before we get started and before I bring Lisa into the conversation, which is the whole point of today. For those of you guys who are new, my name is Janet Thurgood. I'm a quantum healing practitioner. And what I do is I help take people to the uncharted waters of who they really are for healing, for restoration, for spiritual awakening, and for transformation. A big part of what we do in quantum healing has to do with self-awareness. And when you start to develop higher levels of self-awareness, you start to realize that great power and great wisdom comes when you learn how to become more sovereign as a human being. So last year, all of our classes were all about connecting with God and creating miracles in your life and creating abundance and healing the pains of the past. This year, our focus is all on sovereignty, spiritual and personal individual sovereignty. Katie says, grateful to be here with my friends and fellow bearers of love and light. Thank you, God, for this group. Yes, this is a great group, and it's not a humongous group, as you well know. It's a very intimate, private group of ascended beings, highly ascended beings, and I consider each and every one of you guys on that ascended path. And so it's nice to be able to share. It's nice to be able to support each other and contribute in this way. So this year, as I said, this is episode 10 of our sovereignty series. And this year we're talking all about spiritual sovereignty and personal autonomy. So I want you guys to be putting your thinking caps on and come up with, what does spiritual sovereignty look like to you? What does that mean to you? It's kind of a word that we don't often use in our everyday language. And so I want you to be thinking about that. I want to start off, we're going to start off actually with a little short meditation. Then I do want you to be thinking about, what does sovereignty mean to you as an individual human being? What does that look like? What are the words that come to your mind? For those of you who are a part of my classes and my courses online, this is my chakra chart that I put together. And I want to show what it showcases each of the different chakras. And this one here in the middle, in the center, is your power center. It's the solar plexus. And it is all about sovereignty. That's the one word that comes up the most, I think, when I think about my core or my center. So I want to share with you what it says in here. The power center is all about personal power, social identity, influence, authority, self-control, energy, joy, setting up proper boundaries, taking action, and having vitality. So that's the epitome of, that's your core. Like that's the power that lives within you to drive you as a driving force to pursue your purpose and your passion and your dreams. So before we actually get started into talking mode, learning mode, discussing mode, I want us to go into a deep meditation, a little bit of a meditation, so we can kind of prepare our hearts and prepare ourselves from a grounded place. So I was on Facebook this morning listening to a gentleman that I consider as one of my gurus, just has a lot of wisdom to share, and he is a master at meditating. And one of the things that he brought up in his group this morning was the words Stormy Sea meditation. And as I thought about that, I don't know what he meant by that. I wasn't sure because I had never been through his meditations before, but what came to mind as he talked about this Stormy Sea meditation was the words, peace, be still. So when you learn how to tap into your inner self and connect with your higher self, you really do go into higher levels of peace and stillness. So that's where I want to take everybody first and foremost today. Then we're going to get into a really great discussion with Lisa. So go ahead. I want you to just close your eyes if you want to. You can leave your eyes open or closed. It doesn't matter, but just kind of rest into your body, settle into your body. Take a big, deep breath. And as you breathe out, drop your shoulders and just drop your awareness down deeper into your body. Go down. Go deep into the center. Use the breath to help you get there. So the deeper you breathe, the deeper within you'll go. And I want you to picture the stormy sea. Now, metaphorically, the stormy sea represents all the chaos in the world, the chaos in your life, the chaos in the news, the chaos in the world around you, in your family, maybe in your relationships, wherever chaos is showing itself to you. That's the storm. So I want you to picture the stormy sea and the ocean and the waves and the waters bouncing and reeling. And there's not stillness anywhere to be found. I want you to picture the water, the surface of the water, and the movement as the storms of your life. Recently, my second youngest son was on an airplane, and they were flying through a really big storm. And in the airplane, the turbulence was so intense that people were it was bouncing people up and out of their chairs. I mean, lifting them out of their chairs and throwing people around. They were getting jostled on the airplane. And he said, it was pretty terrifying. He said, I'm not going to lie. Like, when the airplane kind of dips down and everybody goes flying, he said people were screaming, women were crying, little children were crying. And he said he went into observation mode and just kind of watched it all as they were traveling through this big storm and being tossed around. Well, the feeling of being tossed around, driven by the wind and tossed. So I want you to think about the storms in your life and being driven by the wind and tossed. And now let's go down below the surface of the ocean. So in your meditation, could you just dive down deeper into the ocean? Take a big breath. On the exhale, drop your shoulders and just calm down and go within and go deeper and deeper down into the ocean. And you'll notice that once you get past the surface and you go in to you deep, into your center, deep into you, it starts to get more calm and more stable. The earth isn't, or the ocean isn't reeling to and fro deep down on the ocean floor. So just drop down. And once you get to the ocean floor, I want you to breathe deeply. Just inhale that liquid light. Exhale all the gunk. And I want you to just say the words, peace, be still. Just repeat that a couple of times. Peace. Be still. Be still. Good. Drop down deep, deep into your body. Going down to the pelvic floor, in the hips, going down even below that, down through your legs, your knees, your ankles, and your feet, dropping down to the foundation of your soul. And just say it one more time, peace. Be still. Breathe in, breathe out. Ah, so much better. Have you ever watched a movie before where there's a lot of chaos going on and maybe there's a burning building, and in the movie, the building's on fire and little Johnny's inside the building. And so the fireman has to go in with his mask on and rescue little Johnny from the burning building. And usually in the movies, what happens is everything slows down, like all the chaos just kind of gets muffled, and it's like, woo, 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 woo. And he goes inside his helmet, and like the movie, I've seen this before multiple times, but the movie's vantage point is from within his brain, within his soul, as he's seeing it. And everything outside slows down and everything inside gets clear and still. And he knows what he has to do. He runs into the building and takes care of business. This is really what I want for you guys. I want to invite you to take the opportunity as you notice the chaos in the world, in the government, in systems, and in everything that's going on in the world, as the world is being driven by the wind and tossed to and fro. And people are screaming and people are freaking out and lots of stuff is happening and people are like, what is happening on this planet right now? I want to invite you to go within, go into that mode of going inside of yourself, and the outside of your external world just kind of gets muffled. Pammy says, I feel love in my sovereignty. Good. Go into that space of love where you feel loved by your creator. And I just want you to invite yourself to go in deeper. All right, today we're talking about, what does sovereignty mean to you? And I really want you to consider that question today. I've invited Lisa to have a discussion with me today, and just because her and I are talking doesn't mean you can't contribute. So if you have ideas or thoughts, feel free to type them into the chat, unmute your mic or your camera, whatever you feel comfortable with. Just remember, this is being being recorded, so I can put it up as a replay for those who can't attend. But do feel free if you have something insightful to share. We'd love to hear it. Lisa and I have been friends for quite a long time. I mean, not really a long time, but we met through Facebook not very long ago, and then we decided to have a phone call. And as we jumped on the phone call, I remember thinking to myself, and I said it out loud, Lisa, where have you been? We instantly knew each other, had this kindred connection. And one of the things that I love the most about Lisa is her huge heart. And as you get to know Lisa today, you're going to discover that she has a huge heart. She is very open to love and has this deeply profound desire for truth. And I was very attracted to that. I know that I've had friendship with Lisa as a soul probably for eons, and that's probably why my mortal brain was saying, where have you been? Lisa's ability to be fearless in stepping out into the unknown, stepping out into the darkness in order to align with God's highest will is inspiring to me. And I'm not trying to embarrass you, Lisa, but these are some of the things that have been pivotal for me as I have been your friend. You have been a huge catalyst for me in helping me to learn more about myself, to develop sovereignty, and also to take the bold step of communing with God in a more profound way than I was before. And so thank you for that. You know, as friends, hopefully we do that for each other, and you did do that for me. So I thank you for that. I'm going to add you. Hold on, let me see if there we go. There you are. Hi. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Lisa. So I'm going to start by just asking you the question, because I think, you know, you and I have talked about these topics before, and I think you have some really great insight in your own personal experience. So I would love for you to just share, first and foremost, what does sovereignty mean to you? Just go ahead and share that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't know I was going to be so emotional. Thank you so much, Janet, for having me on here and sharing my experience with what sovereignty is to me. And as soon as you asked me that, like a week or two ago, I felt a download of information of things that I have learned that would really benefit those that were going to be watching this either now or later. And so I just feel so much love and so much gratitude to be on here because I love you, Janet, and you are so gifted. And so I feel that you reach so many people. And if I could do my part to help just one person, then I'm overjoyed to be able to have the opportunity to do that. So sovereignty to me, that's a huge question.
I know. It's a rabbit hole.
So, I mean, in no particular order, but the first things that come to mind is being able to operate from a place of peace and joy and love without anyone or anything, and just with my higher self, just with God, because we have the world around us that is so loud that is trying to tell us you need to do this, you need to do that in order for you to be loved, in order for you to have peace, in order for you to fill in the blank. And the reality is all that we need to have is to know who we are. That is it. To know where we come from, to know what we want and what we needed to fulfill those wants and needs. And so sovereignty to me would be being able to forgive without being forced to, without feeling shame or guilt, just wanting to love and forgive others because you want to honor your own heart. You would do unto others as you would have done unto you. You would want others to forgive you. You would want God to forgive you because, you know, we're not perfect and we're making mistakes constantly. And so, and in that same line, you would want also for others to you would want to have healthy boundaries for yourself and a heart that you would want to honor your own heart, and in that you would want to honor other people's hearts and their healthy boundaries. And so sovereignty is having patience with God and others and yourself, especially, because all of us are connected. All of us are made up of the same stuff. And in my feelings, you know, like we're all connected with spiritual matter, spiritual stardust. And so to have patience and love and forgiveness, I mean, it's weird to think, oh, well, really, I have to have patience with God. I have to forgive God. Sometimes, yes, sometimes.
You know, I love that you said the word connected, because it's interesting. I think of sovereignty as someone who's not clingy, somebody who's not codependent, but yet connection is different than clinging to someone with unhealthy expectations, unhealthy boundaries, putting your agenda onto somebody else so that they can show up in a way that makes you feel safe. So connection is very different than clinging, right?
Yes.
And codependency. So it's like an interdependency, but you can't get there. You can't get to a place of connection with another human until you yourself have autonomy as a spiritual being.
You know, that reminds me of something that I heard, and I don't even remember who quoted it, but someone told me, well, Lisa, the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, you know, if we have connection heart to heart with each other, with God, with the things that this universe is made up of, that this world is made up of, then we won't feel like we need that drug or alcohol or, you know, whatever addiction that it is in our life on whatever level, because we will already feel whole. We will already feel that there's nothing lacking. And that was just such a beautiful statement to me, and it rang true to me. And so some other things that I feel are like the definition of sovereignty to me is having those daily habits, like I mentioned earlier, to fulfill my wants and needs, and not waiting and yearning and being impatient about others fulfilling those wants and needs for me, and saying, oh, I am so unfulfilled, I feel so empty. Well, what you can do is just ask yourself and say, heart, Lisa's higher self, whatever, however you want to ask, Lisa's body, what do I need and want today? And just for me, on a daily basis, as soon as I wake up, I do a 2-minute body rub to get my lymph nodes going and the lymph system. That's what I need to help my overall flow, to my overall circulation in my body. And then I give myself a scalp massage to help open up my crown chakra. And that only takes 2 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, why haven't I not done this before? It was just so, and then I have found that I have not been as needy, as wanty, as putting those expectations on other people. Yeah. That, you know, I should, not should, I feel that trying to put those expectations on other people will do nothing but have you let down. And so,
yes, so true. I remember going through that about three years ago, thinking, I can't have the thing that I really want most in my life. I cannot have it, without going into detail. I was just like, feeling so distraught by the fact that here's where I am and here's where I want to be, or what I want to take place, and I can't have that. And the only place that I could go literally to satisfy that pining or longing in my soul was to God. And then when I got to God, God said, should have come to me in the first place. I can satisfy that need. I can make you feel whole. I can return you home to yourself. And that was a pivotal epiphany for me in my life, to realize, okay, it doesn't matter what's going on in the external world. I can always find that wholeness and that feeling of, you know, the longing goes away when I come home to myself and connect with God.
I love that you said that, Janet, because most of the time I listen to, you know, like a little Hebrew music or whatever music that helps warm my soul for 15 or 30 minutes. But what really helps me find peace, and that's what I've always yearned for in my whole life. I'm naturally and have anxiety and have stress. I just naturally, my personality type is just goes to that. And the way that I have the most peace each morning is through prayer. And it might seem simple, and it might take a long time or just 5 minutes. But when I go into prayer, I just envision and imagine God standing there with me and saying, what do you need this morning? What do you want? I will give it to you freely. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And so that's all I need, right? And he gives me that gift, whether it's words of affirmation, which is big for me, whether it is doing a heart session where I take out my heart and he heals my heart and then I put it back in. And that saved my life when I was in an abusive marriage that I might talk about later. But that really helped me. And it only took 5 minutes a day most of the time. And so that was huge for me, going and connecting with God, like you talked about, Janet.
I loved that you asked the question, what do I need today? Because often we don't know. We're just in this crazy mode. We're being driven by the wind and tossed, and we don't know why we're stressed out. but to really just get still, go within, ask the question, what do I need today? I think that's profound. Anything else before we move to the next question?
Yeah, I would say that the last thing that really helped me know what sovereignty is to me is to know my why, and asking my higher self and God and my heart, why in the world do I need to have sovereignty? You know, because I think it would be much easier if we just did what we're told, right? If we just said, God, what do I do today? You know, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to go into asking my body this, my wants and needs,
Just give
or
me
even
my
other
orders.
people's. Yes, or even other people's wants and needs. Like, that's too much work. That means I need to connect with somebody over there, and I'm not sure if I want to. And so that really helped me know my why. And then I was like, okay, I can do this because I want to honor myself. I want to honor my heart and what I know is the best for me. And what is the best for me is the best for everybody as a collective, all of us together ascending.
Yeah, that's fascinating you say that, because your highest will is in alignment with everybody else's highest will. And so once you realize that, and the ego can take a step aside for a moment, then it's important for us to ask, what is my highest will? What's in alignment with myself right now in my own journey, because that is also interconnected with everybody else's.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess next question, moving on, I think people would want to know, because I would want to hear this from you. What has your journey looked like on this path of spirituality and discovering yourself in a spiritual way and developing that sovereignty? What has your journey looked like? What are some of the pivotal moments that stand out the most to you as you've developed yourself sovereignly?
Well, I was in an abusive marriage for 13 years. And at the beginning, within a year of that marriage, I prayed and said, I would like to get a divorce. And I would receive yes and no's, you know, but this time I heard, no, wait a little bit longer. You know, there's something you need to do to help him. And so as I felt more and more shut down and distanced from my friends and family, because it's a shaming thing. You don't want to tell anybody. Yeah. That pushed me away from the world and my friends and family and all of the outside influences. And it pushed me towards Jesus Christ. It pushed me towards my higher self, my heart.
Yeah, there was probably nowhere else to go.
There wasn't. And so it forced me in a good way. I mean, if I had to do it all again, Janet, I would, because of where it has brought me to the most peace that I've ever, the most happiness and peace and joy and love that I've ever had in my life. And I wouldn't have been able to arrive at this place so quickly, I believe, if it wasn't for this experience, this horrendous abusive experience. And so I would have heart sessions that I spoke about where I would take out my heart and be healed and be able to live another day in that hellish state. And I think that it was, I would receive yes, no answers, and I would hear that other people would get longer dialogue from divine. And I was like, if it's possible with them, I can do that. And so I just put all of my energy and my heart and soul into receiving longer conversations with God. And it was, for most of that that abusive marriage, yes and no's mostly, and feeling it in my body. What does a yes feel like? What does a no feel like? And I was not wanting to spend any extra time on trying to figure out anything beyond what was the next step that I needed to do. And I only wanted to take orders. Okay. I only wanted to be obedient to God, and I didn't want to think for myself a bigger like picture other than that. And it was a combination of, I was tired. I just wanted to survive. I wanted to thrive, but I didn't know how. And so I was like, God, just tell me what to do, you know? And so it wasn't until I divorced him in 2020 that I really was able to take a hard, long look at my heart and go deep within and start healing all of the trauma from all of those years and previous years to my marriage, like an onion. And he said, okay, now what is wanted? And I'm like, what? You've never, like, I don't remember ever having to answer this before. This is kind of scary. I don't even know what I want anymore. I felt like a shell person, like a servant that was just taking orders. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a bad thing. I felt loved. I felt like that was what I was supposed to do, but he wanted more from me. He wanted me to think for myself. He wanted me to think critically. He wanted me to ask the hard questions of what I needed, what I wanted, and write down what I needed and wanted in a husband, my next husband. And I was like, this person does not exist, you know, and he was like, still write it down, you know, and he said, what do you need and want to feel complete joy, complete protection? You know, he would ask me these questions and I'm like, okay, but this might never happen. And he said, still write it down. To know thyself is to have, he just said, know yourself, know where you come from, know that you are a child of God, know that you are a divine creator, a divine being. And I was like, okay, well, I've heard that before. I will try and believe it. And here's the interesting thing, Janet, is I believe so freely other people's revelations and other people's visions and other people's fill in the blank. But when it comes to my own, I don't understand why it's so hard for me to believe these things that God is telling me. And so I'm still doing energy work. I'm still doing those inner things to love myself. And that is so powerful, is so huge.
Can I ask you a question along those lines? Like,
yes,
because I've had the same thing. I've experienced the same thing. And some of you guys who are on here probably can relate to this as well. But like, I never really considered, and I'm old, like I never really considered in my lifetime the importance of having your own desires met and pursuing your own desires. I always thought that was selfish, put those on the back burner until everybody else's needs are met. But God told me the same thing. And he said, what is it that you want? What do you want? You need to be pointed in a direction, because I can't guide you. You're asking for all this guidance. And the Lord said, I can't give you guidance unless you're in motion somewhere. Like I can't help you steer a bicycle that's not moving and that doesn't have direction. And so for me, I felt like having my own desires and my purpose and my passion on things that really matter to me and that fill me with bliss, those things are vital, because that's what gives you direction. It's what gives you purpose. And then when you start making choices along those lines and you choose, now you have momentum. So now there's movement. And I didn't realize that was a thing. I just thought God was going to just make it happen for me, right? Tell me what to do.
And isn't that what most of us maybe have been programmed to do in our culture, tradition, in society? Is just be told what to do and be happy about it, right? And that's not what God was telling me to do. And so it was hard for me to go against tradition that I had been brought up in and to go against the grain, and even go against my family and friends who are like, why are you doing that? You know, like, why are you yes, and they're like, why are you taking back your sovereignty and your control over your own life and fulfilling your own wants and needs? Like, oh, that is unheard of. Yeah, that is selfish. And I was like, oh no, am I being selfish? Am I doing something wrong? But the witnesses, I could not deny the witnesses and the healing in my own heart. And I was like, okay, I mean, I can't deny these things, so I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, we have some comments here. Loretta says, I feel the same way about believing my own inspiration. Just what Lisa said about having a hard time believing your own. You can buy into other people have dreams and visions, and you're like, oh yeah, that's true. But when it comes to us actually taking truth and disseminating it and discerning it and learning that, that's the hardest piece, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and that's why I always emphasize at the beginnings of my classes, please don't take a word that I say as absolute truth until you go in, go within, go connect to God, go connect to your source, discern for yourself what is true for you and whether or not you're even interpreting it appropriately, right?
Amen, sister. Amen. That's exactly right. Exactly.
Minnie says, I don't know how to even figure out what I want for me. I've been doing for everyone else forever. What advice would you give her?
Well, I was sometimes too afraid to ask my own heart. So I would ask God. I was too afraid to ask my higher self. So I would just write down like the first things. I would ask for a vision. So there's many different things. There's so many different ways that you could do it, so that because I had to get over my own fear of what if I do receive what I really want, and I write it down and then it's staring me in the face and then I have to do it, type of thing. Yeah. But just whatever you feel the most comfortable to receive that revelation for yourself, because your heart deserves love, unconditional love from yourself.
Yes, your heart deserves unconditional love and to be filled with joy because of your purpose and your passion and what you're here to give. Yes, that's where our deepest joys will come from. But I've also noticed too that in pursuing what is your purpose, what is your passion, what is your mission, what are you here to give? Usually the threshold of stepping in through that doorway is riddled with fear. So you do have to cross through that threshold of fear in order to step into that domain. Absolutely. So that's a good indicator.
Were there any other comments?
Yes, we have Sharice has a comment. Go ahead, Sharice.
Just with regards to that last comment, yes, it's important to figure out what our purpose is and what we can give to this earth, but it's also important to figure out what we can receive. What is it that we need to receive? And it brings balance to the male energy and the female energy, the yin and the yang. So it's very important to, you know what, as women, we're givers. We give and we give and we give and we give, and we can give ourselves away. But sometimes we need to just sit in ourselves and commune with deity and say, I need to receive. What can I receive? And step into the receiving as well too. That is actually the divine feminine is receiving. And if we are not tapping into the divine feminine, we cannot receive, and we will not receive energy, gifts, words, whatever it may be. So bringing balance to that. And I think if you go back throughout history, the divine feminine has been poo-pooed throughout history, going all the way back to Adam and Eve because of the choices that Eve made. So throughout history, women have been looked down upon, and our divine, our divinity has been downtrodden on, and there has been a lot of oppression because we're women. because we were born women. So even, and it's in all different cultures, it's woven into all different religions. It is everywhere. So to learn how to break free from oppression is huge in this world. And I think there's a lot of people stepping into this energy of releasing the oppression. We're done. It's
Right.
time to step into our power as women, and stepping into the divine feminine, bringing balance to that. So maybe some of your questions when you're asking, what do I need? What, maybe even just asking, okay, God, Lord, how do I do this? How do I step into the divine feminine? And you'll be shown. And part of it is we need to trust what we are being shown. And I think there's a lot of beliefs that are surrounding not trusting our own revelation and our own perceptions. We're not allowed to, never been safe to for years, for generations. So there's a lot tied up into spiritual sovereignty. It's a good thing you have a whole year to talk about this.
It is a good thing, and it's a good thing that we're bringing all these different vantage points, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that, Charisse. The whole divine feminine, divine masculine, and bringing those into balance, I do feel like is critical to our ascension and our progression and our eternal progression, and also our eternal identity. So with that being said, I want to segue into one more question for you, Lisa. And that question is, how has your sovereignty, pursuing your sovereignty, how has that impacted your relationship with God and your relationship with other people? Because we often get responses from people that are like, why is everyone mad at me for pursuing my own eternal destiny, right? Like, why is that such a problem for everybody else? Because it seems like the minute you step onto this journey of pursuing spiritual sovereignty and autonomy for yourself, you're guilted and shamed and shushed and shunned by people who think you shouldn't be doing that. So back to my question, how has sovereignty impacted your relationship with God and then also with others?
Oh boy, where to begin on that question?
Whatever comes up is good.
Well, in 2020, so I asked I asked my heart or my higher self what the word was for each of these years leading up. And so just to give a real quick rundown, 2020 was my year of adventure. And then 2021 was patience, was forgiveness, and then the next year was patience, which was 2022. And then this year, I feel to focus on love and loving myself and loving others. And through each of these years, and I bring up these last 3 or 4 years specifically, because that is when the hugest change around my relationship with others and with myself when it comes to sovereignty really expanded and stretched me and tried me. And because they were like, you shouldn't be having this much adventure, in 2020 when everyone was stuck in their houses and I was out. I felt to go out and to help other people and do whatever that I could. And I was moving all over the nation. And they were like, why are you doing that? This is the year of, the big pandemic. You should be in your house. And, so that was the first big realization that if I was going to step into sovereignty, that I needed to be all in, that I needed to be true to myself and to not worry about what other people thought of me. And so I had to do a daily practice, especially in 2020, to when I felt that other people were, talking bad about me in any way or any kind of gossip, that I would be able to love them, forgive them, let it go. And that this letting go is huge for when it comes to sovereignty, and when it comes to how that has impacted God, that my relationship with God and others. Letting go for me is the key to this question, Janet, because I feel that our human nature wants to hold on to pain, wants to hold on to the things that we felt were part of us, that God is like, this pain is not part of you, this trauma is not part of you, this addiction is not part of you. You might think that it is because it's been with you for all your life, but it's not who you are, and you need to let it go. And he just stands there and he's like, I'm ready to take this from you when you're ready to let it go.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for me to do in 2020. And I'm still doing that. And I feel that when I let those things go to God and surrender it to him and release it and put it on the altar, or whatever visualization that you feel most comfortable to do, that really felt like a huge burden was being lifted from the what I was worried that other people thought about me, what I was having them control me in a certain way by worrying about it.
Right.
And God does not want that for our higher selves. Our heart doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Our heart wants us to be free. Our heart wants us to feel that we have life, liberty, and freedom in every aspect.
And I think God wants that too. I don't know that God necessarily wants us to just sit around and worship him forever.
Right.
I think he wants us to learn to yoke to him so he can teach us. But then there's that trust that comes. We have to trust what we're getting. We have to trust the divine. We have to trust our inner GPS system. And that does take a lot of trust, to just let go of what the world is saying and what the world thinks and what all this external stuff is projecting onto you. Letting that go does equate to freedom. I totally wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying there.
Absolutely. And Janet, it has been a roller coaster ride, but I have learned things on this journey, especially in the last 4 years, that I don't think that I would have been able to learn how to love myself and love others and love God any other way than being persecuted for having the desire, even just having the desire to honor my own heart. I was persecuted, and I was like, wait a second here, And so just letting go that control, that I cannot control anyone else but myself, really helped me with my relationship with sovereignty with others. And really helped me in my relationship with sovereignty with myself. Because that felt like I was able to take back my healing power, and that they didn't have that much control over me as I thought that they did.
Wow, that is empowering. I mean, and that's the law of heaven, which is the law of free will, right? And God, I don't think that God is looking for a bunch of puppets that he can control. I think that the gods, the divine ones, are sovereign beings, and then that they want that for us. And I think that's probably why we're being guided at this time of spiritual awakening on the planet, to learn to step out there, even though it's scary and other people are going to freak out about what you're doing. And they're going to say, God would never tell you to do that. Why are you doing
I've
that?
heard that so many times.
God would never. And then you're like, how do you know what God would never?
Right.
Anyway, and that takes a tremendous amount of trusting in in the divine, in yourself, and in what you're receiving, and that willingness to step out and act upon what you receive, regardless of what everybody else is saying to you and about you. That's terrifying. And it can be very scary because sometimes your own sovereignty is going to lead you outside of boxes that you have felt safe in your whole entire life. And that can be scary. Thank you for answering that. I do have another question in regards to that. Like, what, I think you've already answered this to some degree, but what has been the cost of sovereignty, of living a sovereign life? What has been the cost? What have you had to sacrifice?
Sacrifice is an interesting word, Janet, because some people, they feel that sacrifice is a good thing, and others feel it's a bad thing. And so for me, there's good and bad in what the cost was to receive this gift of sovereignty in my life. And I can now be able to look at the bigger picture and come outside of myself and say, this is divinely designed by God, and it is all perfectly orchestrated, and it's what needed to happen for me. Maybe this is not for everybody, but I can see now that it was all a worthy and good and the best sacrifice that I could have given for this gift of sovereignty in return. And so even though I have been asked and invited, and I think that is what God does. He doesn't force us to do anything. He lets us use our free will to be invited to sacrifice things, and for something better. And I've had to sacrifice my like church, like what everyone thinks about me at church and on social media and in my extended family, George's family, that I divorced from. And I think only a couple people talk to me, and my mom and my sister still talk to me, but it's like so many people don't want to understand, or just don't understand what I am being asked to do each and every day through living my highest, wonderful, joyful, full of love and happiness and peace life. Yeah. And I have been asked and invited to sacrifice my house, all of my food storage, all of my money, like everything that this physical world said, okay, you've now made it. You now have all of this stuff. And God said, okay, now go ahead and release it and sacrifice it. And I was like, what? I need witnesses for this. I don't know if I can do this, And so I've had to sacrifice my family and my good name. And it was all worth it, Janet. And I know that sounds crazy, and that sounds like, what? Why would you sacrifice all of that for sovereignty? Because sovereignty and this relationship with God that I have now is what I've wanted my whole life, is what I've prayed for ever since I was 16, and I didn't even know what I was praying for. And so I'm so grateful that I have been given this opportunity and that I would do it again. And I get the chance and the opportunity to support other people on this sovereign journey. And that is the greatest joy to me, to know that I'm not alone and that they're not alone.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question to you, is that, do you find that as you move in a forward direction on this path of spiritual development and self-development, self-awareness and sovereignty, Do you find that it becomes easier for you to meet people where they are and just act as a support to them?
Yes. And it is because I don't feel that I need to have any expectations for them, that I can just have a overflowing love and compassion from my heart that I'm working on every day and honoring my heart. So I want to honor their heart and I want to honor where they're at every day without any force, without any control, without any, oh, well, I got this revelation, so you should get this revelation. No, it's just about love. It's just about, hey, I love you. And I am so excited that you received to move in this direction or with this step, because I could see how that's really going to help you in your heart and your healing journey and knowing who you are. I think that the biggest thing that I would say is to know our authentic self, to know truly our genuine self. And then we can know who we are and honor that and be able to see others as God sees them for their authentic self without any force and honoring agency and free will to the fullest extent.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That was perfect. Perfect words. Perfect words. Thank you so much for being here. I think we're going to wrap up. We do have a couple of comments over here, or just one. Love them, forgive them, let it go. Yes. Gosh, I'm going to give you the final word. Like, I want you to be able to wrap up what we talked about today. I want to just share this quick little story to add to this whole thing of sovereignty and what's the cost and the sacrifice and letting go and all the forgiveness that's required. Many people on the earth will not travel this journey because it is so hard for them. It's hard to overcome the concept of letting go. It's hard to let go of things that you value, people that you value, relationships that you value, status in your religious community that you value deeply, and to have to lose those things and let that go can be terrifying for people. They feel like in some ways they're losing their identity. But in reality, what's happening is they're being invited to go deeper within and actually gain the true identity. And the true identity cannot be discerned from up here. It cannot be found in anything that you're clinging to. And it's why this path is riddled with learning how to let go of things you don't think you can let go of. It's really scary to lose relationships. It's really scary to lose your home. It's really scary to lose connection with your children, your grandchildren, or whoever, right? Whoever's really the most important to you. Those are scary things. It's also scary to lose connection with what you feel is, you've been conditioned to believe is your identity. And then when you're asked to let that stuff go, you're kind of left in this great big abyss of, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. And that's when you find yourself, is in the dark night of the soul. And so in many ways, it's not bad that these things happen to people on their journeys. It's not going to happen to everybody, but be prepared that as you progress on your spiritual journey of awakening, developing sovereignty, learning who you are, learning how you relate to the divine, just be prepared that those kinds of bumps will come in the path, and they're supposed to, and it's okay. You're being invited to go deeper inside of yourself, and letting go, I do believe, is so key. I remember when I first woke up and I had this deep desire, like you, Lisa, to obey God. I just wanted to be in the right. I wanted to do what was right. I wanted to be in the light. And I wanted truth, and I wanted to act in alignment with truth deeply and profoundly. And I remember having this epiphany with God where I said, I will never tell you no again. Because I had learned this powerful lesson of listening and acting on promptings. And I said, I'll never tell you no again. And it was almost like he was leaning up against the door jamb going, let's see about that. Let's see about that. And that was when my life really started to shift in a really big way. And I had to let go of things. I had to let go of clinging. I had to let go of the things that mattered the most to me in order to find myself and in order to find him. So any final words before we say goodbye?
Yes, Janet, I do have one thing that keeps coming to me as you've been sharing those things about sovereignty. So amazing. This whole hour has been just so enlightening. I'm even learning words from my own mouth. And so something that keeps popping into my mind is sovereignty has really the reason and the why for me, part of my why that I wanted to share. This will be the last thing, probably maybe the most important thing for me is knowing that in the midst of chaos and in the midst of craziness the loud world that is trying to get my attention all the way around and cause stress and cause me to go into that place where I feel like I can't move and I don't know which direction to go.
Yeah.
The thing that will help me is knowing my relationship with God, my relationship with my higher self, my relationship with my heart, and not apologizing for all the things that I have worked on to strengthen that strong relationship, to know that I will be okay, that I will have peace, that I will have even love and strength and even thrive when there's wars and rumors of wars, when there are things that the news is trying to tell us to be fearful of, and to be able to stand firm and strong because we know who we are, because we know our why. And my why is that I am going to do my best to remove all of the blocks so that I can have that clear connection with God and with one another. And that was so scary to me a while ago. And that is my why, so that I can help myself and help others and help us all ascend together, because I was afraid to connect with my heart with people. And now I want to go out and do that every day. And this is a wonderful opportunity because I feel so much love on this call and so much support. And that is what God wants. That is why we're here, is to feel that love for each other when we have sacrificed so much with sovereignty. And I just want to say amen and amen to everything that we've said on here, because it is truth.
Yeah. Wow. Ooh. And now you know why I love Lisa.
I love
you just
Janet.
partaken of your huge heart, and I love you too, Lisa. And I love all of you that are on here. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you for your willingness to share and be vulnerable. Does anybody else have anything that they want to wrap up and share before we jump off? I'll give you 2 seconds. I think that's it. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Have a blessed rest of your day. If you would like help mentoring, you can reach out to me privately, or you can drop down below the description of this video on the replay on YouTube. There will be a link where you can reach out to me for further assistance in mentoring and coaching so that you can develop sovereignty and remove those blocks and do that inner work. Everybody have a blessed day. Take care, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.